on. Welcome into the channel. So happy to have you here always. My name is Deborah, owner of Purusha Holistic Wellness, and this is another episode of Purusha Intuitive, where we're going to look at the energy for the week via the tarot, astrology, and any channeled messages that come through. So let's get into it. We have officially entered into Aquarius season. So exciting. I love Aquarian energy because it helps us grow, expand in ways that are not necessarily typical to us. Like expand beyond our own comfort, our own limitations in that realm where sometimes it's kind of hard to step outside of our comfort zone or like embrace the unique parts of ourselves, the things that are actually like creative and inventive and beneficial to the world. We get very sheepish, very shy when it comes to, hey, Karen, how is it going? Welcome in. So excited to see you. I know I agree. We need good weeks, good vibes. Let's see where we're at. I think, here's the thing. What I'll say, like when I looked at the astrology topically, I think things are evening out a little bit. A lot of what we're dealing with is stuff that we already know. And that might not be comforting per se, because it doesn't necessarily mean that people or situations stop happening, especially the stuff that kind of like triggers or provokes us or is forcing us to learn those lessons that maybe we don't want to or whatever. Like maybe it's just whatever. It's not fun. It's not fun when we have to continually be brought into these spaces where certain people don't get it, right? And actually, I had an instance like that right before I got on this reading where I had an opportunity to make a choice. I could sit there and get frustrated and upset about what someone was doing, but I just chose not to. And not because I'm better or whatever. It was just like in that space, I was like, you know what? I'm not letting this BS infiltrate my mind, right? I don't need it. And that's kind of why I'm saying that, why I'm relaying that, is because that's kind of like the overarching theme right now is beings, or not even being, but just like investing in yourself so much that you know when to like cut off people or situations that are just trying to stir drama or who don't get it or who can't validate and are trying to, etc. And none of that's easy. None of that is easy. I agree, Karen. There's been a lot in the astrology. It makes sense, and it's not the easiest, like I've said a bajillion times. A lot of it is so that we can grow and evolve. That is the baseline. That is where the tension is coming into play, or why it's happening, I should say. Which, yes, leads to better things, but getting through it can be a little bit annoying, a little frustrating. That's also why I like to start these readings off with an energy cleansing, just to set the tone, set the vibe, cleanse out those places we might feel blocked or limited. It's a really good time to set your own intention, especially if you've come in with something on your heart, on your mind, something you would like Spirit to deliver messages to you around. Definitely give that over. Be open to receive. It's a really great way to personalize these collective readings. I'm also open to questions, conversation via the chat. Like I've always said, we don't want to get too personal. We'll do that type of a reading in the future, just not tonight. But know that's available to you. I also do personal readings. I offer a variety of healing wellness services. Readings are one of them. If you want me to look at your specific situation, how it's faring, where it's headed, or if you are looking for more of that realignment of self, your mind, body, soul, I do energy healing as well as Ayurvedic or holistic wellness consultations. When we are aligned within self, when we are feeling good, strong, grounded in who we are, what we want, our needs, and giving those to ourselves, that's exactly where we're manifesting our happiness, our abundance, our fulfillment. And I would totally love to help support that in whatever way possible. Definitely hit me up. All the info to get into contact with me is in the description box below. All right, with that, let's get into it. I bless you with pure love and light, pure source energy, pure loving grace. I release anything that is not for your highest and best. Any fears, doubts, insecurities, lack of worth, lack of value, pain, anger, frustration, impatience, overwhelm. Cleanse it and release it from our being so we may see and understand the messages clearly and help to make me a clear and open channel for the collective. Thank you, Father God, Spirit guides, guardian angels, Mama Love. All right, so I am feeling a little bit of anxious anticipation as we enter this week. It kind of, maybe even not using you, Karen, specifically as an example, but it can be kind of like tying back to that energy of like just needing a break, needing some goodness in our life, right? It's interesting how the energy plays out after the holidays. We kind of hit these high highs, and then January is, I don't want to say low lows, but maybe a little bit of that residual energy, right? The recoup after the aftermath is a great way to say it. And we're in this time where things have settled. Things have settled a little bit. Not like, I'm not saying necessarily in the circumstances we're dealing with, but I'm saying more within self. When I'm talking about being settled, I'm talking about we have a better handle on like what's going on, not only in our lives around us, but also internally. And I think that is the goal right now, because we're not seeing a lot of forward movement, progress in situations. Sorry, Karen, to keep using you as an example, but kind of like you touched on earlier, right? Like we just need a little bit of goodness. And yes, that's in an ideal, but if that's happening right now, it doesn't seem so much. Not good, bad, right, or wrong. I think this is more about education. It's about education and experience. It's about being able to learn how to navigate through the things that are a little bit more difficult. That's so funny. I don't even have that deck on the table, but it magically popped out. The mirror is not an easy card. The reflector. Reflecting back the things that we don't like about ourselves. Obviously, we often manifest relationships in that way. So where we're having difficulty, where we're having trouble, yes, the easy thing is to say this person's doing X, Y, and Z to me. But then we also have to go a little bit deeper and say, well, why does this like bother me so much, right? It kind of goes back to like what I was talking about in the very beginning. I don't know whether they're trying to provoke me or not. I have no idea, right? That's how it came across because of how they were acting, right? But also, it's not even about if I don't want it to affect me, but if the things that I don't even, sorry. I want to be mindful about how I speak this. We do choose on some level as to what we allow to affect us. I know that's not a fun reality. And I think this is some of the difficulty, some of the tension, some of the resistance we're seeing in the astrology, because we don't want things to affect us so much, or we've been going through the same cycle over and over and over again, and we want to be done and over with it, etc. But what I want to highlight, number one, in our blocked energy is the trickster. So don't be so hard on yourself. That's what I want to say. That's what I think is like the first message. Don't be so hard on yourself. People do shitty things. People do shitty things, right? And they might not even know why they do it, but they do it. And it's not necessarily yours to figure out. If you feel like you need to kind of dive into that reasoning, into that energy, be my guest. I'm not sure that it's going to give you clarity in the way that you want. And I think that some of what you're seeing, Queen of Swords pops out, making sure that you're not putting yourself in a position, in a situation where you're on, like, yes, on the losing end. But this is like, I'm saying it in this way that, like, this is someone who is intentionally trying to make it hard for you, right? Anima, animus. So this is the masculine, the feminine. This is where we see the dance happening. And there might be some things around it that feel very poetic, or they feel very life purpose. Like, it's like I'm hearing this, like, there's something that's keeping you drawn into, like, the circumstances that are happening. And maybe some of them are just like this need to be, I don't know how to communicate it. I'm not communicating it right. Like, every time I try to speak this, it's not coming out, and I don't know why. I'm going to move forward. Bear with me. I'm sure that we'll circle back around to it. Beginning of the week, the tension that we're seeing, we're just coming off of a new moon in Capricorn. So there is some, like, reinvigorating energy. That's where this anima, animus is coming into play. So this ability to find a little bit of balance within the collective, within people, relationships that we're dealing with. I feel like something's taking a break. I don't think it's a long break, but I think other things are happening or being said in a dynamic that's making someone kind of back off. It doesn't seem as relevant in this moment, in this time. Okay, 10 of Wands, there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of things going on. And so it makes it easy to kind of, like, talk about the challenges, the issues, maybe even being a victim. I don't think you're trying to be a victim, but someone's trying to make you a victim, if that makes sense. So you might feel a little bit on the short end of the stick this week. You might feel like, I don't deserve that, or that's not mine to pick up, or that's not my responsibility. But at the same time, a lot of the situations you're coming into are challenging you to not only, like, not think and feel that about yourself. I don't know that you have to actually challenge the perpetrator, so to speak. I'm seeing this more as a revealing energy. Like stress, right? You're stressed, you're burdened, you're overwhelmed. And when we're in those spaces, we want things to just, like, work out easy, be happy, well and good. There's a little bit of that in the beginning of the week. We have some support. we're kind of understanding or like accepting a little bit more what we're growing through, however you want to see it. It's hard to be, the Queen of Swords is in or Queen of Cups, excuse me, is in our blocked energy. So it's hard not to like let this stuff affect us. It's hard not to. But a lot, and it's interesting because as I was looking through the astrology for the week, a lot of it's affecting us on the emotional level. It's a lot of this like our pride, our ego. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I hope you don't hear that. I'm saying it's like, sometimes it's okay to say like, I can't do this, or I don't want this, or this doesn't feel good for me, right? Like we don't have to like make something happen just because we think we want it. If we think we want it and it's not feeling good, that is a huge red flag or a huge like warning sign, red light, however you want to see it. And that's where the Queen of Cups is kind of working to our detriment beginning of the week, because maybe we don't want to see all the things. We have certain ideas about how we think things are going to play out. And it's easier to kind of push that agenda forward beginning of the week than it is as we move, because we gain in wisdom. We actually start understanding why it's not so easy, or why we maybe attracted someone or something into our life, which I'm not saying is a comfortable energy, a comfortable narrative to deal with. It requires us to be honest, and that is the main key when we're talking about or thinking about overcoming some of these present limitations, is we can't think those things about ourselves. But that's easier said than done. Because a lot of what we're drawing in right now are people, situations that are communicating to us what we think is true. What we think is true about ourselves. And I don't know, maybe some of it's a little romantic, some of it's a little bit idealized or fanciful or whatever it is. Also, there's a lot of trickery going on behind the scenes that's important for you to keep track of or not lose yourself in, is what I want to say. Midweek, we have more working for us. There's a stronger foundation, is what I want to say. And with the Three of Coins, like, it's basically saying that, like, you can take hold of this. Like, if you're not liking how things are working out, there are going to be people surrounding you that will help you out. Point blank. It's as simple as that. And it is this, like, very basic value of that what you think, that what you feel about yourself, you're going to attract that. So if you have to do some affirmations or, really kind of plug in some energy towards like what you want, how you want to see things manifest, there is some resistance against that midweek. It's not bad stuff. It's just more like, I'm hearing it's kind of some boredom. Like, I don't know if this makes sense, but you know how, like, life is very, very busy nowadays. There's always something to do. There's always something to look at, to be distracted over, etc. And sometimes when things are working out for us, or when we're actually, like, maintaining our power and manifesting things that, like, are good for us, it's like, oh my gosh, well, where's the bad? I'm so used to this negative thing happening. And that's where the block is coming into play. It's things about you or your life that's making you feel like you don't have as much access to options as you do. And some of that's about healing. Some of that's about not loving where you're at in this time, in this moment. needing to make some changes. And that's where some of this reflector is serving you. I don't think you want it. You don't want it. Maybe that's where I'm feeling some resistance, right? Because we're in this mode where we like want our cake and want to eat it too. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. There's been a lot going on, and sometimes we're caught in these cycles where we just feel like it's never going to end, or it's going to be too much, or whatever it may be, right? And we kind of just want certain things to help give way so we can move forward. When that timing happens, when it comes, it's kind of up to the universe, spirit, God, however you want to understand it. I'm not trying to be difficult by saying that, but it's like timing right now, you can't necessarily be the holder of. You can't control. And because it's going to play out in the way that it needs to, essentially. And some people, some situations are going to look good, and some things are not. Some of this stuff you're trying to get away from, you already know. You already kind of know where these trickster energies are coming into play. But there's good things too. You know, there's good things coming from this, even though it might be a little bit of an autonomous energy, meaning you're spending a lot of time alone, introspective, focusing on yourself, your own world, reconnecting with yourself in an intimate way, in a vulnerable way. It's easy when we're in difficult dynamics, toxic dynamics, to disconnect from ourselves. That's totally a typical way of like getting through it. It's a self-protection. Sorry, I don't know why this is not coming out. Self-protection mechanism. Thank you. So like learning yourself in a more intimate way, learning like your wants and your needs. And yeah, there is some stuff that might be uncomfortable, but I'll say topically, it looks like you have a good hold on things. Like, you might not love everything, you might not, but ultimately it's your choice. This reminds me of the Two of Swords energy. We can choose where we put our time, our intention, etc. And if something doesn't feel right, even if we feel like we owe it something, that's okay. You can give it that space and then say, all right, I'm done with it at this time, or like whatever. 10, 15 minutes, I'm going to back out. I'm going to say thank you for explaining. I'm going to go on my merry way, whatever it may be. Because there is a little bit of an energy vibe that's trying to keep you sucked in, trying to keep you stuck, trying to keep you around. We have the Knight of Wands. Maybe even someone giving you an intimate offer, trying to be a little bit more vulnerable with you to get their results. Knight of Swords. We have the High Priestess and the blocked energy as the week closes out. Knight of Swords. Plans of action, how you're moving forward. Let's look at the chart. So midweek we have a little bit more balance, and then end of the week it just feels, it's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. That's what the energy feels like. So you might have someone who's trying to re-engage with you on a more intimate level. This is also about you becoming intimate with yourself. Like, taking time to actually engage with yourself, listen to your wants, to your needs. Because again, in our blocked energy this week is the trickster. So it looks like you're combating a lot of fantasies or ideals or gaslighting, things that people have said to you that aren't really true, things that you maybe feel limited on certain levels. And again, like, it serves a purpose. It serves a purpose to kind of show you where you're at present day and what you need to adjust and where you need to move to. And that's where I see, like, you're ready for this. You're very ready for this. But there's also a lot, like, I think there's also a lot of people, situations that are caught up in the, whatever, the forefront, the main focal point, underlying patterns, 100%. I love this. The cards never lie. I didn't see that at all. They never lie. It's the places that we get caught up. And I'll tell you, underlying patterns are not easy to decipher. They're not, because it requires us to be intentional. I don't know where that card is, but to be intentional, to focus on what's actually happening. It is part of that value of like attracts like. This is a hard thing to understand. It's a hard thing to overcome, especially when we're attracting things that we don't like, right? And that's exactly what these underlying patterns are all about. That's what we need to pay attention to. We might have a way to romanticize what those underlying patterns are. And Spirit is actually now giving us an opportunity to, well, you already know. That's what I want to say. You already know. I think your heart wants something more. I think that there's a feeling of lack in maybe in relationships or connection or who and what you have in your wheelhouse. People that are actually willing to fight for you. But I think it's a misinterpretation. Yeah, challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to see if that's actually true, or what some of those beliefs, maybe the mistaken beliefs, maybe you don't even want to call them that, but what are those beliefs? What are the things that are like currently limiting you right now? Where are the excuses happening? And again, I don't mean that in a rude way. I'm saying excuses so you can kind of see those places where it's like maybe you say like, oh, I need to do this, but I got X, Y, and Z kind of blocking me from doing that. Okay, so then how can you get over X, Y, and Z? How can you challenge yourself in a way that's actually going to help you overcome some of these limitations? Because we're actually like getting further along in some change that's happening astrologically. The energy, the limitation where we've been finding restriction that's been holding us back is actually starting to give way. And we're seeing maybe where we've been projecting ourselves or where we have actually been holding ourselves back, limiting ourselves, etc. And again, I know this isn't an easy thing to make peace with or even to recognize, because it's so easy to blame other people or point the finger. And I'm saying that because I think there is justification in that. I think give yourself the credit where credit is due. Don't necessarily sit there and say like, make sure that you're being fair to yourself is a good way to say it, right? When we do this type of analyzation, understanding, to kind of help us navigate towards better spaces of life, it does mean we have to be honest, authentic, understanding about ourselves, where we're at, where the limitations are, so we can better overcome them. And it looks like you are doing that this week. yes, there are still some tricky energies around you, so don't try to pretend they're not existent. That might be something I do. I don't know, but you've got this. You've got this. I think a little bit more than what you recognize that you do. I think a lot of this is just taking a long time to get over, to move through, etc. It's not the easiest. But I feel like maybe a little bit of patience in the process, maybe even finding a creative way to express what you've been through might be really beneficial. Whether you write, you paint, you draw, you do something for your soul that's not making you feel so entrapped, so limited. And yeah. All right. Sorry. I don't know. That was a really anticlimactic way to end the reading. But I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found messages that resonated here for you. Thank you so much for your time, energy, always. I super appreciate you. All the love, all the blessings you bring to the channel. No, it blesses my heart. And I'm sending those love and blessings back your way. I would love to connect. Definitely drop comments below. I love to say hey or just sharing a little love, little TLC. I so appreciate all the love, all the support. Thank you for bearing with me. All the ins and outs, ups and downs. No, it blesses my heart, and I'm sending love and blessings back to you. Always have a great night. I will talk to you soon.